All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's Strength and Power. So as you can see, the theme for the week has kind of been bodybuilding comebacks. We talked about Sergio Oliva's comeback. We talked about Larry Scott's comeback. We talked about, of course, Dennis Wolf's comeback, which is going to be this coming week at the 2018 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Then, of course, in a couple of weeks from now, we have Kevin Levroni's second comeback. Obviously, he came back at the 2016 Mr. Olympia, but we have not seen him compete since then. But he will be making his second attempt at a comeback at the 2018 Arnold Classic in Australia. So there's the Arnold Ohio and the Arnold Australia, and we've got two major comebacks in the coming weeks. So I thought it'd be an ideal time to make a series of videos about famous bodybuilding comebacks. So in this particular video, we're going to be talking about Lou Ferrigno. So Lou Ferrigno is arguably one of the most well-known and famous bodybuilders of all time, next to the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he also took one of the biggest hiatuses in the history of bodybuilding, retiring unofficially in 1975 after the Mr. Olympia competition that year where he placed third. That was the Olympia that was documented in Pumping Iron with him versus Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's where a lot of people initially heard of Lou Ferrigno. And after that Olympia, he decided to retire and pursue a career in Hollywood. Now, Lou Ferrigno is known for many things. Number one would probably be Pumping Iron. Number two was he was a winner of the Mr. Universe, the Mr. America, and the Mr. International competitions, but he never won the Mr. Olympia. So I think a lot of people actually mistake that because Lou Ferrigno is so famous, a lot of people think he's a Mr. Olympia winner, when in fact he's not, but he did win the Universe, the America, and the International. Now, outside of bodybuilding, in terms of the Hollywood thing, he's best known for playing Hercules, the Incredible Hulk, and Sinbad of the Seven Seas, amongst many other roles that he had throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even the 2000s up until present. But the real question on everybody's minds is, why did Lou Ferrigno retire in 1975? A lot of people don't realize that Lou Ferrigno was only 24 years old during the filming of Pumping Iron, and it was at the age of 24 when he decided to end his bodybuilding career and pursue other things. So a lot of people wonder, what did Lou think was standing in his way in the future from winning the Mr. Olympia? Because Arnold Schwarzenegger announced right in front of Lou Ferrigno at the 1975 Olympia that he was going to retire from bodybuilding himself. So in 1975, Lou Ferrigno placed third behind Serge Nubret, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger won the show. So Lou Ferrigno knew the top dog, Arnold Schwarzenegger, wasn't going to be competing at the Olympia anymore. Then in 1976, Serge Nubret would leave the IFBB to compete with the WBBG and NABBA. So both of the guys that had beaten Lou Ferrigno were now gone from the Olympia. So in 1976, you had Ken Waller and Mike Katz in the heavyweight division, both of whom I think Lou Ferrigno would have destroyed. And then you had Franco Columbu win the overall and win the under 200 category. And I think, in all honesty, Lou Ferrigno would have beaten him as well. I think Lou Ferrigno could have won the 1976 Mr. Olympia had he competed. Now, keep in mind, back in 1975, Lou Ferrigno was 285 pounds on stage, or 129 kilograms, which was a massive, massive bodybuilder for the 1970s. And that doesn't even account for the fact that when he comes back in the 1990s, he weighs 315 plus pounds on stage. Massive. But we'll get to that later. Now, keep in mind, Lou Ferrigno didn't have any real reason to leave in 1976. He didn't get offered the Incredible Hulk job until 1977. So had he competed in the 1976 Olympia and won, chances are he probably would have gone on to defend his title in 1977. And as we know, Frank Zane would win from 1977 and 1979. Now, Frank Zane was a hell of a bodybuilder, but weighing in at only about 185 pounds on stage. I think had Frank Zane and Lou Ferrigno gone head-to-head in the late 70s, Lou Ferrigno could have got perhaps 3 more Olympia titles. I think had Lou Ferrigno stuck with bodybuilding, he could have easily had the opportunity to become a 4-time Mr. Olympia at least, and that doesn't even account for the early 80s and some of the controversies that happened at those Olympias. So for whatever reason, Lou Ferrigno did decide to quit bodybuilding in 1975 and pursue acting, and he was relatively successful in the acting world. But that brings me to the point of this video. From 1975 onward, he would take a 17-year hiatus from bodybuilding, not returning until 1992. But the interesting thing is, when Lou Ferrigno returned, he was arguably even freakier than he was back in his 20s in the 70s. Lou Ferrigno returned in 1992 30 pounds heavier in stage weight than he weighed in 1975. And 30 pounds is a big deal when you're talking about 30 pounds in addition to the 285 that you weighed before. So at the 1992 Mr. Olympia, Lou Ferrigno weighed 315 pounds. Now, a lot of people like to hate on Lou Ferrigno's comeback in 1992. They like to say he had calf implants. They like to say his waist was big. They like to say he didn't look good. His conditioning was bad. But honestly, I think Lou Ferrigno's comeback is one of the most impressive comebacks in the history of bodybuilding. Again, we're talking about a 17-year hiatus from the bodybuilding stage. Lou's last competition, he was 24 years old, to going back to the Olympia at the age of 41. And we're not talking about the Masters Olympia. We're talking about the men's open division at the Mr. Olympia. They put this guy next to Dorian Yates, and he still looked massive. He made Dorian Yates look small. Now, granted, Lou Ferrigno was about 6'5" tall, but there's varying claims about how much he actually weighed from 1992 to 1994 during the years that he would stage his comeback. So there's claims ranging from anywhere from 315 pounds to 340 pounds on stage. I would say probably closer to 315 pounds is the realistic bet for how much he weighed on stage, which again is why I say this is one of the most impressive comebacks of all time. How can a guy, that was already one of the most massive bodybuilders of his era in the 1970s come back and be one of the most massive bodybuilders of a new era in the 1990s, even against guys like Dorian Yates, who were the new mass monsters? So in 1992, Lou Ferrigno would place 12th, and then in 1993, he would actually move up 2 placings and improve to 10th place. Then in 1994, he would place 2nd in the Masters division of the Mr. Olympia. So honestly, I think Lou Ferrigno's comeback is one of the most impressive in the history of bodybuilding. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about Lou Ferrigno and his comeback. Thank you guys for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.